Hi there traders, this is Steve Miley, the Market Chartist, and our regular weekly macro watch update for the macroeconomic and geopolitical events that have impacted markets over the past week, looking out to the week commencing the 14th of September 2020. Stocks erratic, searching for direction, the pound plunges. So let's kick off by looking at the macroeconomic and geopolitical developments over the past week. So first of all, early in the week in here, we had in the UK, the 15th of October deadline was put in place by the Johnson government, the Conservative Party in here, for EU-UK trade talks to progress. Otherwise, they would walk away from those talks. And also we had the Internal Markets Bill, which caused a lot of global and internal friction with markets looking at this as potential for the UK to be breaking international law, and that having definite repercussions both within the UK, within the Conservative Party, and on an international basis. A lot of disagreement in here about this at the moment, and that has really put a downside pressures on the pound, which we'll look at going forward. And remember a week ago we discussed in here the ECB members had jawboned the euro down from 120 as EUR-USD went up to that 1.20 level, particularly in here Chief Economist Philip Lane in here from the ECB. However, last week the focus switched to the ECB meeting on Thursday, and Christine Lagarde said we do not target the exchange rate, which sent the euro back higher for Thursday, Friday at the end of the week. Elsewhere, throughout Europe and the UK, we've had an increase in the number of COVID-19 cases again. People already talking about this as being now the potential start of a second wave, and that's putting obviously some risk-off elements into markets which are already fragile. Remember, we saw the big sell-off on stock indices from the previous week. That kind of continued at the beginning of this week, and we're going to look at that next. Going into this week also, we have European and UK resume further lockdown measures in here. The UK having new lockdown measures in place as of Monday, and then in Europe and elsewhere, further lockdown measures coming in given these rises in COVID-19 cases. So let's take a look at the global financial market developments for the week ending the 11th of September last week. Well, here's what we were talking about here. The Nasdaq 100 in here, having had that surging 88% rally from March, we've had now a 12% correction. Markets tried to rebound earlier this past week in here, but then fading back lower going into the end of the week in here, but holding above the lows or around the lows that we established earlier in the week. However, European equity indices far more resilient in here, trying to rebound and more in a range environment. And actually the FTSE 100 having a decent rebound in here, but that's really being helped by the fact that we've had that weakness in the UK pound sterling. And here we see that weakness, a 5% drop since the beginning of September, most of that in the past week, with both this internal markets bill plus that October the 15th deadline date, this soft deadline date, having negative implications for the pound. And not only against the dollar in here, this is not just to do with US dollar strength, it's also to do with the pound weakness, because here you see EUR-GBP, the euro versus the pound, also pushing up 5% significantly higher in the past week or so. Elsewhere, the euro did bounce against the dollar after the ECB, as we've already discussed there. A slight bounce in here, and that points the market back up towards that 120 level that we hit at the beginning of September. Elsewhere, let's look at the commodity space. Oil lower in here, going lower with the stock indices at the beginning of September and still looking fairly negative. Here we have WTI setting back from $44 and now below 38, 37 and been pushing down towards that $36 level. But on the flip side of that, COMEX copper in here staying resilient. It's been a September consolidation up very close to, and then more recently rebounding back close to those multi-month highs in here that we posted at the beginning of this month. So let's now turn our attention to the week ahead, the week commencing the 14th of September 2020. What do we have coming up? Well, we have the UK Internal Markets Bill is being debated as from Monday, so all eyes are going to be on that. And will there be a revolt within the Conservative Party, and will they be able to push this bill through? Also, potential revolt from the House of Lords. Moving on, Central Bank Watch this week. On Tuesday, we get the Reserve Bank of Australia meeting minutes from their last meeting. On Wednesday, all eyes are going to be on the Fed. Will the Fed react to the fact that we've had this weakness more recently in stock indices? Then on Thursday, we get both the Bank of Japan and the Bank of England meeting interest rate decisions and statements and press conferences. Let's take a look at the data. So we've already mentioned that UK parliamentary debate that kicks off the week on Monday. The RBA meeting minutes Tuesday. We get Chinese industrial production and retail sales also on Tuesday alongside the UK employment report and German ZEW survey. Wednesday brings UK inflation data, including the CPI number, alongside US retail sales and Canadian CPI. And then we end Wednesday off with the FOMC interest rate decision and statement from the Fed. Australian employment report kicks off the day on Thursday, and then we get those BOJ and Bank of England, the Bank of Japan and Bank of England interest rate decisions and statements coming through on Thursday, and with also that weekly US jobless claims number as ever coming through on Thursday. And then Friday we end the week with UK and Canadian retail sales, with the US Michigan consumer sentiment late in the day on Friday to finish off the week. I'm going to wish you all a great trading week. Please do stay safe out there, and I'll see you on the next Macro Watch. So traders, don't forget to catch us on the next FX Explained Macro Watch and all the great content on fxexplained.co.uk.